What's up, YouTube? My name is Uncle Smokey, and this is Uncle Smokey Stock Trades. And before I start this video, I would like to say I am not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. So please take what I say with a grain of salt and do your own DD. Today we're going to talk about ticker symbol MMAT, Metamaterials Inc. We're going to break down the TA, we're going to look at the options chain, we're going to go through both Ortex and Fintel. I've got a little bit of a Reddit DD breakdown for you. It is the DD from the other day, the short float being wrong, as well as the overall outstanding shares being wrong. We're going to do a breakdown on that, as well as at the end of the video, my prediction. Today we opened up the day at $4.98. We hit an immediate low of $4.89 and a high of $5.38 and closed the day out at $5.34. We finished up 4.5% on the day on about 14.5 million in volume, which was even less than yesterday. So yesterday we finished down. Today we finished up. We almost covered what we finished down in yesterday, which is fantastic. We almost completely brought it back. Now I will mention Sterling yesterday in his video called out 476 as the respected level that he was looking to bounce, and it sure as heck did. I mean, it tapped it in the pre-market and ran. It took a small short attack right at the opening, which is almost perfectly normal, and then basically just went. And it carried on up to the $5.20 channel where we traded the rest of the day. I mean, literally all day long. 520 to 535 is where we kept touching, calling that consolidation, further strengthening $5.20. And we can tell that this is becoming a very good support and resistance line, just because if we zoom out to the 5-minute chart, we can go back in time a little bit and look at the 520 line. Look how many times it's been touched. Just in recent past. That's just over the course of a week. All right. Now, I want to go back to that. So the reason why I have this channel up here is, unfortunately, even though we had a green day today, we're still in a downward trend. And the reason why we can confirm that is because we did make a lower low. So until we start making a higher low and we reverse that trend, this will remain a downward trend. Now, I don't think this is going to remain a downward trend for long, as we did, like I said, make a huge bounce and trade sideways for the rest of the day. The reason why I called out $5.50, the mark I would really like to have seen today, is because $5.50, if you look right here, that's $5.49.8. That would have taken us out of this downward channel. Okay, doesn't mean we would have secured it, but would have put us in a position to launch off of that tomorrow. What I am looking for is for us to break out of this downward channel, hopefully testing that 550 mark eventually to get us back in an uptrend. Let's see, let's move over to the options chain. All right, so options. Pretty easy day today. Of course, low volume means low options calls, or low options contracts. 20,500 calls, 4,100 puts. We're going to call that 80% calls, 20% puts, with an IV of 189%. Awesome. It really is. We're keeping it under 200 again. We're doing great. Now, the one thing I want to let you guys know that next week, at the end of next week on Friday, ends your monthlies. All right? So what that means is Theta, or the time decay, is going to start really kicking in. This here is your Theta. And Theta is how fast the options contract decreases in value. So right now, every day, this $8 strike is losing 3 cents in value every day right now. Come Monday, this will probably be every bit of it. But it's already only trading at 15 cents, which means it's going to be a penny by Wednesday, probably. That's if Theta keeps picking up, and it will, unless volume pours in. Now, once volume starts pouring in, Theta can change, but it needs to happen quickly because within a day to 2 days before this contract's end, your theta has completely taken over, and it's really hard to make a profit at that point. So basically what I'm getting at is anybody that's on the options contracts for the 17th of September, either start looking for these things to spike here really quick or start rolling them out to a later date. I suggest October or even January. All right, let's go over to Ortex. Nope, that's not Ortex, that's Ortex. All right, so looky here. Of course, every morning I put out my briefing, and these numbers don't change throughout the day. This will all stay the same. It will change again tomorrow. This is on a T2 delay, so these numbers are actually for 2 days ago. Tomorrow's numbers will be for yesterday, not today, which is great because this will be a 100%, I'll bet. And if it could go to 105%, it might even go to there. But yeah, I mean, we keep climbing every single day. In fact, they didn't give in today either, and we went up 4.5%. They're trying to push it down, and they can't. The hedgies cannot physically force this stock down. That's fantastic. That means people are coming in, they're buying up the stock, they're buying up the shares. They're watching YouTube videos, they're doing reading, they're doing their due diligence. That way they know what they're getting into. And people are starting to see that Meta is the future. All right, so let's go down here. Average days on loan, we're at 20.85. And again, this will update hopefully again in the morning. They've been a little bit slow on this lately, but nothing I can do about it. The other thing I want to let you guys know that is always take this data with a grain of salt. This is only reported data, okay? This does not come from absolutely every exchange. This gets reported privately by hedgies, by the market makers, okay? This does not include any data that cannot be seen, data that they do not report, all right? This is privately reported data, only reported data. So always keep that in mind. This isn't the bigger picture. This is the picture we can see. That is it. So, with that being said, let's move into Fintel. Same situation, by the way. Fintel, only reported data, data that we can see. And this hasn't changed. Let's hit refresh. So here's one of the things that I'm controversial about. Fintel is showing a half a day to cover, where Ortex is showing a day and almost a quarter to cover. So I think Ortex getting a little bit more information, maybe. I don't know. Also, it looks like that's not the same either. Nope. Maybe they're just backed up a little bit, but that's okay. So looky there. Now, earlier today, we were at 90 out of 100. Now we're at 89.75 out of 100 score. Not a big deal, not a big drop. We are now number 17 out of 5,500 stocks on the short squeeze score. Now, again, guys, I still hold firm to my belief. I don't want this thing to squeeze right now, and I don't really think it's going to. I think what we're seeing right now is a whole lot of organic growth, buyers pouring in, seeing that this is a wonderful, wonderful stock. It's got a lot of potential, and it's going to grow in the very near future. There is 0 shares available right now to be shorted into the market, according to a leading prime broker. This is not all of them. This is not 2 of them. This is 1. And, of course, since there's no shares available, they are not reporting a short borrow fee. But currently, well, I shouldn't say currently, 5 hours ago, it was 21.86% short borrow fee rate. All right, so let's go down here to our short sale volume. So yesterday, we finished up just below 40% short volume ratio combined between all of them. Today, we've only got 23% down here. That just basically means maybe, just maybe, my theory, shorts might be changing their mind on the stock. You'll notice that it's getting consistently less. Now, on the big, heavy day here, yeah, it was up there. That was a huge day. Of course, short sellers are going to try and make as much money as they possibly can. Yeah. Is it fair? No. But it's going to happen. The overall picture, though, is it's reducing. So just maybe, like I said, the shorts are switching their position. They might start going bull as well. Do you know what that means? When the short positions change their mind, we've got a gold mine. We're sitting on a unicorn. We've got probably the best stock in the market. Yeah. It also shows that they're not as stupid as they look. They know that this stock is heavily shorted. They know that they're in trouble. They know they're backed up against a wall. They're going to try and slow down a little bit because they know that they're going to get caught and they're going to get called. It's going to happen. So there's the two reasons why I think that the reason why these numbers could be shifting. They could be gearing down for those reasons, my opinion. Short sale transactions, as we know, these are only transactions that happen that are over $5,000. That's all that's the only reported transactions. $5,000 or more for shorts. Put it into our little thingy over here. This is obviously for yesterday, the 8th. 262 transactions, about 500,000 shares shorted for $2.5 million. All right, so that basically covers up all of the Fintel, Ortex, TA, and all that other good stuff. Let's get down to the really cool DD that came out a couple days ago. The reason why I didn't break it down real heavily when I first spoke about it was because I wanted to read it myself. I wanted to go through, I wanted to find all of the sources, like I always do. I don't ever like to give you guys DD without reviewing it myself. So I did. I read it all, and it makes perfect sense to me. It absolutely does. So I'm going to kind of read it a little bit verbatim and kind of break it down as we go. Too long didn't read. The float is half of what we think it is, which means the short interest of float is double. Skip to the illustration at the bottom if you want. The CEO of our favorite company has been busy playing four-dimensional chess with the short, setting up a galactic bear trap. In this multi-part DD, I'm going to break down each dimension, hopefully in a way each and every one of you can understand. I've even included some fancy illustrations, which is great because I love picture books. The float is much smaller than we think, and that means short interest of the float is much higher than is being reported. Currently, the float is being reported at 231 million shares. After several sleepless nights and hours of crunching numbers to verify, I confidently announce that the real float is only 109 million shares. Source, you say? It's right inside the MMAT's own filing, and he's not joking. I actually went to the filing, found this little paragraph, and it is in there. I'm not about to do it now because it takes a minute of time. On June 28, 2021, and pursuant to the completion of the arrangement agreement completion, the company began trading on the NASDAQ under the symbol MMAT, while MMI common stock were delisted from the Canadian Securities Exchange. And at the same time, Meta Material Exchange Co. Inc., a wholly owned subsidiary of Meta, started trading under the symbol MMAX on the CSE. Certain previous shareholders of MMI elected to convert their common stock of MMI into exchangeable shares in Meta Material Exchange Co. Inc. These exchangeable shares, which can be converted into common stock of Meta at the option of the holder, are similar in substance to common shares of Meta and have been included in the determination of outstanding common stock of Meta. Okay, so the number that they transferred, which it has only been filed and seen one time in one filing, where it split the shares between MMAX and MMAT, they have been included in the current float that we're trading on. Okay, isn't that a completely different company? Or I shouldn't say company, a completely different QSIP and a completely different exchange? We'll get there. All right, so within the 280 million outstanding shares, we have both MMAT shares trading in the U.S. exchanges and MMAX shares trading in Canadian exchanges under an entirely different QSIP. Well, we got there. MMAX is technically a subsidiary of MMAT, however, under an obscure tax law for Canadians, this is not an American law, we present to you the exchangeable share structure. I'm not going to go through the details either. I did go through and read some of it. I'm not going to say all of it. I was falling asleep. I couldn't do it. However, I did get to the part where they're talking about. So, we have two entirely different stocks with entirely different QSIP numbers locked into their own individual exchanges, but only reporting one set of financials. Before you ask, no, this is not the same thing. A cross-listing is not the same thing as cross-listing a stock like we have MMAT and other companies trading on German exchanges. Okay, because it's its own animal. The Canadian exchange and the American exchange don't trade that way, I guess. The way I gathered it from this thing up here, unlike the German exchange. So if the German exchange trades 3% up on Sunday, generally we're going to catch up to them. Sometime within a few days of that, we'll catch back up to the German stock because they trade before us. They trade 7 days a week, actually. So that's kind of what they're getting at with that, with the whole cross-listing thing, okay? So everything we need to know about outstanding shares, insider ownership, and free float is a lie. Sort of. It's not really, but it is. 280 million outstanding shares. Institutional ownership gets tricky once again. After wasting a bunch of time looking at hundreds of 13Fs, and we've done that. We go through Fintel up here. We weren't prepared for this. We go over to here for our owners and our institutional owners and all that other stuff. And if we pull this up, we come down here, we can add a bunch of numbers together all up in here. And if we do that, we're going to come to the same exact numbers. I'm 100% confident as this person here did. So let's see, where were we at? Okay, so institutional ownership gets tricky, roughly 18 million. Now, yes, we know, as we just saw, it does show a little bit more than that, but numbers are, of course, skewed. Insider ownership is also way of on a lot of websites. Wait, I'm sorry. Oh, it's also way off on a lot of websites. The correct number is 53 million shares. One thing that really makes this company way different than your average publicly traded company. None of the Torch insiders sold their shares because of the merger. In fact, the CEO of Torch is now the CEO of Meta subsidiary MMAX. So, we have Torch insiders and Meta insiders diamond handing their shares. So the last number we need to know is how many shares are locked in the Canadian exchange. Because as of right now, these shares cannot be exchanged, yet although that is being worked on. These are shares that are being counted into the outstanding shares, but cannot technically be sold or traded as MMAT on U.S. exchanges. Looking up MMAX, you can easily find the ticker and the data for the outstanding shares for it, which you can. I did. This picture is basically the same. Shares outstanding is 105.53 million, and I can confirm this is basically what it was at the MMATF number. So this is just slightly off. Not that big of a deal. It just shows that even the Canadian exchanges and the stuff that gets reported for them can be slightly off as well. Alright, so however this number is just way too close. Okay, was before the merger, I think. Okay, they're just covering all that. Sorry. I basically summed it up. Alright, so it was hidden in the deepest, darkest corner of the abyss. That is the internet. On the Cedar website, if you search MMAX or MMAT, you will find the information on those tickers and the filings, but not anything official on MMAX share counts. However, if you search every company starting with an M, this is what you see. And this is it. So they searched every company with an M. Metamaterial Exchange Co. Inc. And this is what they were looking for right there. These are the three. All right. Under Metamaterial Inc., you will find the defunct company that was MMAT back before the merger, which took that ticker to the U.S. and changed MMAT to MMAX on the Canadian exchange. Notice the cease reporting, making this basically like finding a needle in a haystack. This is where the juicy info is. Ooh, juicy stuff. All right, so right here, it's showing the exchangeable shares, Metamaterials Exchange Co. Inc., at, call it just under 100 million, okay? And this is underneath the Canadian exchange. Now, as we covered up here, we already know they have been included in determining the outstanding common stock of Meta. So the very next frame we're going to look at, following the close of the merger, they had one and only one filing that shows how many shares went to MMAT in the U.S. and how many went to MMAX on the Canadian exchange. And here it is. So bust out your calculator. Don't need to. Did it for us. Total shares, tradable or outstanding shares, I'm sorry, not tradable, 280 million. MMAX, 100 million. MMAT, 180 million. Now, we know we can't trade these, so we got to take them off the board. So that leaves only 180 million Meta shares, actual MMAT shares, tradable under the UX exchange. Now, also we know insiders own 53 million and institutions own 18 million. So if you take those two numbers off of the 180 million, you get 109 million shares. That's right, guys. 109 million shares is all we're trading on our open market. And I would be willing to bet that they are all consumed by retail investors. The stuff that you're seeing being bought up now, being shorted in the market, I would be willing to bet are synthetic shares, naked shares, fake shares, shares that don't exist, okay? Because of this reason alone. There you go, guys. Here's some good hard DD. Thank you very much to you, Dramatic Shower 3028. Bravo to your DD. I appreciate everything you did for us. That took a lot of time, and I know it did. If for any of you smooth brains out there that did not understand what I said, here's a beautiful colored picture. I know it's not green and red, and those are our favorite colors, but here's blue and white, and we can read it. 280 million shares, take the Canadian side out of it, gone. 180 million shares for Americans. There it is. Insiders, institutions, this is what we get. That's all. That's what I got for you on that. Let's move on to my prediction. We got to get the screen set up, guys. Come on, Uncle Smokey. You're screwing off. All right. Let's scooch over here. Let's shrink the screen. Drag it back down. All right. So, of course, I think we're going to, go through sideways. If you haven't noticed the pattern, we may have a real wonky aftermarket and pre-market hours, but it almost always comes back to where it closed, or at least close. The times that it doesn't, it generally goes parabolic, and then it winds up coming back to where it closed. Usually really quick. So I always say I want it to trade sideways, and even if it does this crazy number stuff here, it's still traded sideways if it opens up in this area, okay? So if we trade sideways, we're going to go ahead and start with the bear predictions, because the other thing I noticed is every time I do my bear prediction first, it goes bull. So we're going to give it a go. We're going to see if that works. Bear prediction first. We open back up in the 530 to 540 channel, giving us a nickel each way. If we go bear, I see us dropping immediately to 520. Probably test it, maybe do another breakout of 520 to 515 to 510. I don't foresee us going down here for too long of a period of time, as like I have said, we are really making 520 a good base. If we do break down here into the 520 range, expect for us to trade sideways. Now, again, it is Friday, so that does not mean that it won't break through 520. If it does, 510 and $5 would be your next levels to be looking for. Day traders like to get out of their positions. A lot of the swing traders will get out of their positions, things like that, on Fridays. Now, again, I do think that the stock is changing. We might be shaking off a lot of the paper hands and things like that throughout the early part of this week. We might just have a nice hold tomorrow, which is going to take me to my bull prediction. If we open up in our channel where I just said, I would expect for us to immediately pop off to 550, bounce through that, go to 565. Where did my 550 line go? Right there. All right. Break through that. We're going to test 565. Now, I'm feeling very, very bullish tomorrow. Very bullish. I think if we tap 565 more than 2 times, we're breaking out and we're tapping 580. If we go to 580, that's probably as high as we're going to go on a Friday, probably consolidating back down towards the 565 range, trading in this channel. If we don't break through it, look for a 550 finish, and that's what I see for tomorrow. Like, subscribe, do what you got to do. Make sure you're telling your friends and family about Meta Materials. Get some whales involved in this. Let's bring this thing to the moon. Peace.